I understand the reasons for wanting to tear down Russian statues, but I also think it was probably the wrong move. It's, in their words, denazify Ukraine, which is utter bollocks. We now have the sound of sirens, so it's time to get to the shelter. That is what life is in Ukraine. Hey, how's it going? So you find me in the Palais-Royal ground right in the center of Odessa. This, if you can believe it, used to be a parade ground. This is where Prussian troops would take their stance and they would parade for their military generals. But now, since 1847, it's been this beautiful square. As soon as this fountain was installed, as you can see the sad lady sort of holding up the fountain, that was installed. This became this beautiful oasis set right in the center of Odessa, and around here you'll find all these beautiful restaurants. It almost feels like a sort of a place that you would take your lover, or a very romantic place, take your wife, take your girlfriend, have an enjoyable evening. I have to admit, the first time I was here, probably goes back almost 10 years, I almost got fleeced.
To the clip joint!
And it was probably the only bad experience I ever had in Odessa.
I did not get hustled.
But I don't want that one bad experience to sort of tarnish this beautiful beauty spot. Some lady I think I met on Tinder thought it would be appropriate to fleece me with the waiter. He charged prices that were 10 times what they should have been. Yes, I did get fleeced. I almost got fleeced in a clip joint. And
I've been had, that's what's happened. I've been hustled.
I think it was this place, but don't quote me on that because it may have been the place next to me. And since then they've improved, the management have changed. Always be careful anywhere in the world. A young attractive lady says, hey, let's go to this place. No, never go to her place. Always take us to the place you're thinking of. That's the rule.
Am I being hustled right now? What was that?
Anyway, we're going to walk past the Opera House and we're going to walk down probably Odessa's very busiest street. And I want to show you what Odessa is like while war is happening. War is literally still going on. 2-3 nights ago, there were cruise missiles battering the port of Odessa. Thank God that's not happening right now. We don't have any sirens to go off, so hopefully the only thing that's going to destroy the sound of this video will be the wind, but hopefully we can get through this. Right now we have families having their dinner, early evening meal in the restaurants back there. But as we see as we approach the Odessa Opera House, monumental Odessa Opera House. It was originally built in 1810, but then it was burnt down in 1873. There's me with a head for dates. And then I think in 1887 it was eventually rebuilt to what we see today. And you'll notice, you'll see the bust at the top of the Odessa house. Some of these busts, I think that's Alexander Pushkin. Hard to tell, but he certainly adorns this beautiful, beautiful opera house. And if you wanted to go in, you would be one of the lucky, I think it's something along the lines of 1,700 people can fit into this opera house. And if you get to go in, it's fantastic. I saw the ballet there a few years back now, in more peaceful times, and I have to say it was one of the greatest experiences when it comes to the ballet. Yeah, it sounds kind of strange coming from an Englishman, but I generally do enjoy the ballet. We're just going to cross the street here and try not to get run over. Let's cross. In theory, it is illegal to jaywalk, but I've never had a problem in Ukraine, and I seem to jaywalk quite frequently, but I think it is illegal. You'll notice that a lot of Ukrainians will obey the lights and they will obey the crossings. But look, it is a bit of an oasis, so I just want us to pause on the tower up, well not the tower, the opera house. Have a look. It really is beautiful, and we're going to continue up here. We're going to leave the opera house behind us because we don't have any tickets to the ballet or the opera today. As you can see, there are still city tours going on. Tourists are still here. Generally, most tourists are Ukrainian. They thought they might manage to escape the troubles in wherever they were in Ukraine and at least come to Odessa where it's warm in the summer. But little did they know that for much of July 2023, which is when this video is being filmed, Odessa has been battered when it comes to bastards from the east, the Russians, have not let up when it comes to sorting out their push on trying to, in their words, denazify Ukraine, which is utter bollocks. And the sad news is I got a message today on my phone in Ukraine. Look at this. Old-fashioned.
Sorry about the noise.
The sad news is I got a message on my phone today ordering the call-up of more Ukrainian men to be sent to the front lines. That basically means there's a bit of a meat grinder going on, and it's really, really unfortunate.
Let's say an 18-year-old man who doesn't want to go to war, take Ukraine for example. All the women could leave the country. All the men had to stay. You cannot leave Ukraine if you are a man between the ages of 18 and like 60 or 65. If you're a Ukrainian woman, you get to go to Stockholm, you get to go to Great Britain, you get to continue your hot girl summer. You know what the Ukrainian men were doing? Getting fucking massacred. So let's talk about privilege. Let's talk about privilege. They have to defend their country. If World War III is around the corner, there's no feminists when Russia invades. There's no feminists when China invades. All these things that you often complain about, when shit hits the fan, we revert to our traditional gender roles. You can't have feminism when there's a military conflict.
Just a heads up, there's clearly inflation going on in most of the world, but here in Odessa we're having a little bit deflation. Prices have come down. You can see it's 19 hryvnia for a coffee, 142 for certain things, 240 when it used to be 319. Things have got cheaper. So let's have a look, let's have a look. This is one of the main streets in Odessa, and it cuts through from east to west in Odessa, and you've probably seen this in quite a number of my videos before, but I want to show you what it's like in the middle of July when there's when there's still a war going on. And look at this place. This is it's called the 12 Monkeys. Do you remember the film Bruce Willis? There is no right or wrong, there is only unpopular opinion. I think that was one of the quotes from 12 Monkeys.
There's no right, there's no wrong, there's only popular opinion.
We're going to walk through here. One of the most popular sex shops is like Taboo. That's one of them. And then there's a Turkish restaurant just here. 70. Just a nice place to have a drink actually. I've had a couple of beers there in the past. Not because it's in close proximity to the sex shop, but this very upmarket place. This is where ladies might sometimes have lunch here. You can see a couple of them there having lunch, or they're having a late afternoon tea because it is about 5 o'clock now. So hence the reason I wanted to do this video. I wanted to show you just to see how busy this place is. Normally on a Friday evening, which is it is Friday, it would be super busy, but today, because of what's going on, most people have left Ukraine. And those that remain are just sort of braving it. Let's push on through. This is a nice place. This is called Amsterdam. And Amsterdam is a place to get good cocktails, fairly inflated prices, but it's a nice place. I have to say I recommend the WC facilities in there.
So you are to be the standard bearer, the carrier of the flag of Amsterdam.
Notice the decimation when it comes to certain businesses haven't actually survived. This used to be a poker club and a casino. It's completely closed down. You can buy that if you wanted to buy that. Down here, a lot of businesses down this street, I won't take you that way, have actually closed. A lot of businesses closed. But hopefully this is probably going to be the busiest I've seen it all week, because we are literally, it is a Friday evening. We can see the changes that have gone on. The people that have remained have generally remained because their father, their brother, their husband are serving on the front line. And where are they going to go? If their father, brother or son are serving on the front line, they're going to stick around. Nice restaurant over here. This is a place that serves exclusively mussels. Highly recommend it. I'm a big fan of that. I might even be going there later. Over here we have Lviv croissants. As you can see, there's a few things open. Many things closed. A closed shop over there, closed. Lviv croissants still open. What is sad is all the women have obviously had the opportunity to leave the country, and a lot of the women have left the country. They're having their, well, effectively they're having their hot girl summer in any parts of Europe or North America or anywhere around the world, whereas the men 16 to 60, they have to stay. And they really do have to stay. This is a nice place to get a beer. This is this Corvin pub. Reasonable place to get a beer. It used to go until quite late, but during the troubles right now, troubles when I say invasions by the Ruskies, everything has to close at 10. And now this is the first hazard of what we see, of what's happened with the war. This was not here until the war started, and now Kentucky Fried Chicken have invaded the place. It's like the American invasion of junk. So what you're probably going to witness, people are going to get bigger, because across the street we have McDonald's over here. So, trying to get past. It's actually quite stiflingly hot today. Yesterday was freezing, today is stifling hot, but what do you expect? It's July. We can get through. And as it's pedestrian on the street, we might as well walk on the street. See if we see anything, see if we encounter anyone. It is rather bright. The good news is, some of this is back in action over here. We've got a couple of grills, but all of the places behind, and I kid you not, when there was no war going on, all of this was alive. But due to the fact that the war is carried on and there is no business, I want to just show you how it's all sort of crumbled and there's no life. It's only the main street where there's life. All of these used to be serving cocktails, beers, sandwiches, burgers, all of it closed. The only thing now open are the things on the front. And as you can see over here, there's a place that has been boarded up. It's unfortunate. And I want to show you something here. My favorite restaurant in Odessa, in at least the old town, was this place called over here. It was a chain, and maybe I'm a simple person, but it was Kompot, and Kompot has closed down. All Ukrainian tourists, because they're speaking Ukrainian there. But this is all closed down, as you can see. And as you can see, this is all closed down. So the street that used to be super lively, there used to be people eating and dining here, is now all closed down. There's a couple of the cheaper places that are still alive. And I think this sort of takes us to my original video, which I've previously done. So I don't want to continue much further, but I just want to give you an example of, when the wind stops, of what was a lively street has now turned into, which was probably Odessa's liveliest street, is now a shadow of its former self. No chairs and tables on the streets, and we are left to ponder what is happening with the war. It's a sad, sad thing. Anyway, that's my brief insight. Oh, actually, we'll have a quick look over here. These are the ponies that are still in Odessa. People are still trying to make money from ponies and horse rides. Here we have what we could find as a pony that's turned into a unicorn and 2 horses. Many of the kids will get involved, and it's a way. And also over here, I don't know if you see this lady over here. That is the lady pushing bunnies around. And that's how generally people are surviving. Some people are okay, but every night people are living in fear that this might be their last day here, because there are sirens every single night. This is no laughing matter. They are trying to live normally. Of course, no visit to Ukraine would be complete without taking in the cherry bar. So this is the cherry bar. in Odessa, having a drink to Odessa and to Ukraine. It doesn't really get any better than this. I'm actually at my favorite rib restaurant in probably the whole world. They've now got one in Odessa, and look at this. Things are kind of normal when we're ignoring the fact that life can change any moment when the air raid sirens come on. Right now, what a wonderful setup and what a wonderful city.
Better than El Salt Bay.
Well, it was a wonderful dinner, but now it's been interrupted by, I don't know if you can hear this in the microphone, we now have the sound of sirens, so it's time to get to the shelter. That is what life is in Ukraine.
Видел красное окно, что вспышку видел, среагировал, успел спрыгнуть за кровать, ну и повылетали, все. Собственно, все, спускаешься, везде шум, гам, дым, люди, у людей паника, кто-то плачет, везде стекло, ходить свободен.
Sadly, this used to be a monument to Catherine, the Tsar Catherine, obviously Russian. She founded Odessa a long, long time ago, and then there was this beautiful monument where she stood very proudly on this monument, and there was also some brass statues around the side here where you see these markings. Now it's been replaced by a Ukrainian flag. I understand the reasons for wanting to tear down Russian statues, but I also think it was probably the wrong move. Without those people of the past, you don't really have an identity, and removing the founder of the city makes no sense. I hope they bring her back. As you can see, boarded up shops over here, lots of boarded up shops, and more boarded up shops over here. It's a sorry state of affairs, and I think a little bit like the weather in July, Odessa is feeling like this, although it doesn't stop these people getting married. So congratulations to them. It's our old friend Ivan Franko. We probably will remember Ivan Franko from Ternopil, certainly from Lviv. To be honest, everywhere. I think there's something like 550 plus streets as of 2020, and now we're in 2023, timestamp there, that Ivan Franko is named after. He died a pauper in 1916, but he was celebrated throughout the course of his life. Before he was kicked out of Lviv University, once he got a peerage, he was still celebrated. The reason he was kicked out was, not only was this guy a poet, a literary mastermind, a man that translated some of the greatest works of our time, from Dante to Shakespeare, into the Ukrainian language. He also wrote in Polish, Ukrainian, a couple of other languages as well, more languages than I can speak anyway. But this man was a great man, and he's much celebrated the fact that he wanted a united Ukraine. He yearned for the days of a united Ukraine. And despite the fact that he was an atheist, and that was generally frowned upon by the sort of Greek Orthodox churches that sort of proliferated the region that he was well known in, he wrote a story called Moses. And Moses, well, effectively the story of the Bible, he grasped upon the Bible. He was very educated when it came to the Bible and the Bible verses. And he talked about Moses, and he compared the Ukrainian struggle to the Israelite struggle, and how Moses requested, "Let my people go." The Israelites obviously wanted their own homeland, which obviously happened after the Second World War, long after Ivan Franko was gone. But Ivan Franko's dream eventually would come true as the Hungarian-Austrian alliance would crumble. And in 1918, 1919, Ukraine would, for a very brief period of time, become a nation that then would get taken back by the brutal Soviet occupation, which we would eventually see the Holodomor genocide in the 1930s, and then we would then see the Second World War, where the strains of communism would be pushed upon the Ukrainian people even more. And then eventually, come 1990, his dreams would come true. His dreams of a one Ukraine for the people of the west of Ukraine and the people of east of Ukraine would eventually happen. Although I'm sure Ivan Franko, being the political commentator, effectively the journalist that he was, he produced hundreds and hundreds of works. Due to all of that, he probably would have a thing to say about the Ukrainian struggle that we're experiencing now and that we have experienced since 1990. But a great man, and I'm glad to see his statue featuring prominently still in Odessa when other statues have crumbled since I was last here. All right, here we are in our traditional, very traditional Ukrainian restaurant. I've got my traditional Ukrainian beer. Not a beer that I'm a big fan of, but you know, when in Rome, go for the Ukrainian beer. It's only 70 hryvnias for a big pint of, well, half a litre of beer. And you know what? It's not too bad. It really is not too bad. The Vava is on the menu, but I went for this one. I like. How do you say it?
Forschmuck.
Forschmuck. Forschmuck. Nothing to do with Jews being schmucks or anything. Forschmuck. And look, the traditional borscht. Look at this. I put this in the borscht. It's a bit of lard. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Oh my god, it's pretty good. Wow, look at this. The borscht was amazing. This is holudzi. Well, something tells me this is going to be good. Basically sort of minced meat wrapped in cabbage. Not bad, eh? With some sort of carrot dressing.
Дякую.